Welcome to another Telltale video. This will be number 2 in my exploration of the works of Jack Williamson. The story is The Girl from Mars, which he actually co-wrote with Miles J. Breuer. And they would go on to write a short novel just after this. Now, The Girl from Mars is kind of an interesting situation. It was published by Stellar Publishing, which was founded by Hugo Gernsback. And the situation here was Gernsback lost control of Amazing Stories. And so he went and started new magazines. Science Wonder Stories and Air Wonder Stories, which later just became Wonder Stories, which later on became Thrilling Wonder Stories. When in trying to launch these two magazines, he was trying to bring in subscribers, and so he had a special deal. Subscribe to Science Wonder Stories and you get this free book by Jack Williamson and Miles J. Breuer. It's actually not a book, it's just a short story, so it's just a chapbook, kind of a pamphlet. And the story was The Girl from Mars. Technically, this was a novelette, but it's not very long at all. So this basic synopsis is you have a civilization on Mars, but they're heading towards their own destruction. And they know that it's coming. They know that the planet is going to blow up. So before it happens, they send out a whole bunch of cylinders, intending them to land on the other planets of the solar system, and hopefully one of them would be able to start their race all over again on a new world. So a cylinder falls to Earth, and a man finds it, and finds that inside it is everything he needed to know and everything he needed to have in order to grow his own Martian. Give birth to his own Martian girl. So he does, and that's the girl from Mars. Now, it just so happens 2 other cylinders made it to Earth, and other people raised those children. Interesting in its concept of basically being able to do test tube babies long before such things were ever possible. I don't know how far science was advanced in 1929, if it was really easy to read up on current medical science and see that it would be possible, but at that time it was not being done. Laboratory grown babies would wait until, I believe, the 1970s. So that's a pretty good speculation about science on Williamson and Breuer's part. The actual story, the writing, the quality of this, definitely nowhere near as good as The Metal Man. And I think the main difference here is that with The Metal Man you had one character, and it was told from that, pretty much from that character's point of view. Well, you had 2 characters. One character was relating the story that the other character told him, or that the other character had put down in his letters, and so the rest of the story is, the second character's story about flying into this valley. So it's very much from first-person point of view. This one is not. And a lot of science fiction can get away with having kind of bad characterization because the stories are short enough and the idea is strong enough that that's what you are reading the story for, is that idea, that science fictional speculation. And so you don't really care, the characters are basically just reporters in most science fiction stories. They're essentially just there to be witnesses to whatever scientific thing is going on. But with this particular story, where you're growing intelligent beings, the science is about the characters, the idea of the story, and how these characters, the three Martians meet, and the interactions that happen there are a big part of how the story gets to its end. And so the idea and the science in this story is woven into the characters. So you have to have good characterization to pull this kind of story off. And unfortunately, this story does not have very good characterization. It's pretty basic. It's pretty simple. It's definitely not as good of characterization as you could find from later works by Jack Williamson, or pretty much from any science fiction writer today. So it still was an enjoyable story. It just wasn't a really excellent story. And I can't, for that reason, recommend it to modern audiences that you're going to love this story. You'll probably like this story if you like Jack Williamson, or you like 1930s science fiction and you're interested in that history. Then I would say you'd want to read this. Otherwise, if you're just a science fiction fan and you're looking for the best science fiction, skip it. So that's Williamson number 2. The next one, and the date on The Girl from Mars is just 1929. Not really sure what month it came out. So it could have been anywhere from January to December. I suppose if you know what month Science Wonder Stories first came out, it would kind of coincide with that. But anyway, the next published work that Williamson did is a novella, a little bit longer, called The Alien Intelligence, and it was actually serialized in the July and August issues of Science Wonder Stories. So that's the next one I'll be reading, and I'll do a video on that one coming up in the near future. Till then, like us, subscribe to us, leave comments, come on back for more videos of Williamson and a whole host of other writers that I've been choosing. I just keep adding to this list of people that I want to read everything they've done. Just added one today that, well, I'll probably be posting that video before this video goes up. So that author is Greg Bear. And yes, because of his recent passing away, I've always had a great admiration for him, even though I haven't read everything he's written. There's a lot of his stuff I've never read. The works that I have read have deeply impressed me and made his name one, not just because his name is Greg, but his name has become among, in my opinion, the very best science fiction writers in the genre. And so his passing is a big deal to me, and I want to do a video on that. So that, like I say, by the time this video it premieres, that video will already be up, because I'm putting that up as soon as I can shoot it and edit it and get it out there.